I'm back, bitches. Hey, y'all. It's your girl Els here on Undeniable Truth Podcast. I know you're like, wait a minute. This is not Lauren on a computer. And we don't just hear her audio anymore. Nope. Because guess what? We'll be recorded with guests in person for season 2 of Undeniable Truth. And guess what? This is the first episode. So, guys, welcome back. As you guys all know, we did a prior episode on domestic violence, which was very deep. I appreciated our guest back then, but I'm so excited for season 2 and for you guys to see what's to come. So I know you've been wondering, where have I been? Life has been lifing, okay? For those that don't know, I am a mom to a 4-year-old, so a lot has been going on there. But also, I just went through losing my job. I got laid off. I promise you I ain't get fired. And I went through a breakup. And this episode is to wrap actually around the breakup. It's more for giving other women the heads up for what you're going to get out here if you date. Because, baby, let me let you know now, and excuse my language because, you know, I'm always uncut and raw. The dating pool is pissy and shitty. So be mindful, ladies, of who, when, where, what, and why you're dating this person. Make sure you get a background check because I wish I would have done that from day one. But hey, it is what it is. So let's get right into it. Back in 2022, I met this amazing guy. He was handsome. His profile sounded handsome, but he was a guy that I met off of Facebook dating. He was 5'11". No, not 10. No, wait, hold on. Damn it, I think it was 5'10". I'm 5'11". He was very, very handsome. He was Haitian. He was Dominican. I was like, God damn, all right. He approached me. He sent me a message to start. And it was so sincere and sweet and very, very, when I mean God, it was just like, damn, there's still men out here that are respectful. I couldn't not talk to him. So he sent me his number and we decided to start texting. We had a conversation over the phone and then we did a FaceTime call. And I was like, okay, nobody really does that these days. Everybody want to text and I'm old school. I like an actual phone call. But, you know, I liked the way his approach was and we hit it off really well. So we talked for about 2 weeks and decided that we were going to plan our first date. Now, our first date was a day after Veterans Day. So to give you a little back history, because I will not give names, he was a veteran. He had his own contracting company. He was a dad. He was a son. He was a brother. He was an uncle. He was everything. And he just seemed perfect. The big word here, seemed. Okay. Our first date, I decided to reach out in the morning just to confirm that we were still on the same page. And I didn't get an answer. I said, okay, I'm going to wait a little while. Hours passed by. I called again. Didn't get an answer. I texted him. Didn't get an answer. So now I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, yo, did somebody really just ghost me? Nah, can't. Like, that's ghetto. But then I got a phone call after 4 o'clock to remind you we were supposed to meet at 4, telling me that he overslept because he went out the night before to celebrate Veterans Day. He's a retired vet. Completely understand. But respectfully, you could have put an alarm on, hit me up, and just let me know the deal, and we could have met at a later time or a different date. Now, at this point, I'm already like, listen, I'm not these average girls. I don't want to deal with you. But you know what? My homegirls and some other friends of mine were like, listen, give him a chance, see what he's about, because I'm known for cutting people off, and then we go from there. I said, all right, cool. So we planned a second date and kept it talking. Second date was supposed to be a Saturday evening. He said to me, listen, I am finishing up a job. I have an inspector coming. I need to make sure that I'm here for this with my guys. I said, okay, respectfully, I understand. He said, I'm ending up sending my guys home because the inspector was taking a while. Now, from what I know in New York, if an inspector comes on a weekend, they come at whatever time they want. Now, hey, who am I? I'm not a contractor, but, you know, this is what I've read. But I understood. Okay, now it's an hour before we're supposed to meet. He's not picking up the phone. Now I got frustrated because I'm like, wow, like, You told me you finally met up with this man. You disappeared. You're not answering me. Something seems weird. Okay. Went to bed, left it alone. He sends me messages. He calls me, everything to get my attention, apologizes and everything. And I'm just like, no. Like, who do you think you are? So then I was like, you know what? I already explained to you, I'm not this girl. He said to me, Lauren, please just give me one chance. I said, all right, cool. I gave you one chance. This would be your second. Let's see how this flows. We ended up meeting for the third, supposed to be third date, but actually first. We met up at a diner. We hit it off even more. We hung out with each other that evening. And from there, it was like we were inseparable. I was with this man every weekend. I was a little skeptic for him to meet my son because this is the first guy I dated ever since my son's dad. So it was very new for me. This is like 3 years later. So I'm just like, okay. So now, we're already planning like, hey, do we get each other Christmas gifts? He's telling me about his family and what he's getting his kids and all this stuff. And I'm telling him what I'm getting my son. He even got my son a gift. Now, at the time, I did get his girls a gift, but I didn't give it to him. For me, being a girl, I thought, I don't want to meet his kids yet. They're teenagers. It's going to be different. So I waited. Okay. Now we ended up bringing in a new year together. It was pure bliss. He had a birthday. January. And I decided, you know what? I want to cater to my man. So I took him to this really nice restaurant, got all his favorite snacks. We came back to the house and we chilled, and it was beautiful. And then from there, every single weekend, we just continued to be together doing different things. And it would, to me, this was God sent me the person I've been asking for. I felt like I felt Ciara's prayer. But in the reality, I really didn't. I didn't. So months went by. February came. We were good. We had our little spicks and spacks here and there. March came and I said, you know what? I do love you. And I think it's time for you to meet my friends I consider my family. And he was like, I'm okay with that. He was like, matter of fact, I'll cook for them. He loved to cook. So we ended up making like lasagna and doing some other things. And we even celebrated one of my friends' birthdays and celebrate their mother's birthday. And they loved him. They were like, listen, Lauren, you have no reason to be scared of anything. Just let everything flow. Stop overthinking. And I was like, you know what? Cool. Now, before all of this, in February, he mentioned to me about wanting to open up a restaurant with one of his friends he was in the Army with. And I was like, all right, cool. I think that's a great idea. He told me at first it would have been in Texas. And then he said his friend lives in Georgia. And I was like, all right, cool, no problem. So then he said to me, they've been calling me and doing these meetings with me about me and going down. And I'm like, okay, but what does that leave us? And I'm sorry to be selfish, but honestly, where does that leave us? We just literally started. We're like 4 months in, like 5 months in, like really? So he said to me, listen, babe, I'm going to go down. I'm going to see what it's about. And then I'm going to come back. I said, you know what? If this is what you want to do, I have to support it. Okay. So he left. He went down. He said, I'm going to go down and see. I said, all right. So he called me when he got on, was getting on the flight, called me when he got there. But then I noticed the communication was getting very less and less. And I'm like, we're in a relationship, bro. Like, why am I only talking to you once a day? Okay. So now I'm getting frustrated. And I'm like, what is going on with him? And I feel like, why aren't you back home? Like, what's really the deal here? And it just seems like he kept bobbing and weaving around the questions that I was asking. Now, to me, that was a big red flag, but I was so like confused that I was like, you know what, Lauren? Chill. Take a step back and focus on you. That's exactly what I did. I started this podcast the following month. He was just like, wow, you're doing a podcast, you're doing this. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a lot of things. And we were cool. Now I'm asking him, when are you really coming back? Because, my birthday's coming up. I want to celebrate it. I want to be with you. Like, what's the deal? He comes to tell me, hey, babe, I'm coming home on the 3rd into the 4th. I was like, okay, cool. I said, how you coming up? He was like, I got to drive up because I want to bring down my stuff. I said, all right, no problem. The day that he's leaving now, matter of fact, before he leaves that weekend, I spoke to him the Saturday evening. I didn't hear from him all day Sunday. Now, if you know me, that don't fly. I'm not that type of girl. If I'm not hearing from you, I'm either panicking or I'm thinking you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. So now I'm getting worried. I'm getting weary. I'm like, what's up? So I decided to text his brother. We just so happen to have each other's number due to a little procedure that this man had a couple of months prior. So when I text him, at first I didn't get no response. And it took about 2-3 hours. To remind you, I've been worried about this man from like the night before to hitting him up at 6 o'clock in the morning to not hearing nothing. But then all of a sudden, 9 o'clock comes, guess who texts me back? Then calls my phone. Yeah, well, listen, y'all. You're going to have to wait for part 2 of Secret and Lies on Undeniable Truth to find out the rest of the story. But believe me, you're going to want to tune in because it gets a lot more juicier than this. Stay tuned.